to be better at what I do and to be a better person. And that's why technology is so phenomenal and such a phenomenal industry to go into. As I said at the beginning, tech is constantly evolving, and it forces those who work in tech to evolve along with it. So, see, all right, all good. Without further ado, and I promise this is supposed to be a very short little chat, so I'm just going to give you, as I said, I fail all the time, so I'm going to try and help you not failing, basically from this sacrifice. I just have 5 very small things that I'm going to tell you that will have monumental impact in basically your success in the tech field that I've come to understand. So how to launch a career and grow in the tech industry, and I think that that's the most important thing. You have to grow every single day in order to succeed in this industry. Lesson 1 is people matter. People really, really matter. Get a mentor. It is absolutely the #1 most important thing that I did for myself, and every single person in my industry has told me that a mentor has been the most important decision that they ever made for themselves. We need to learn from people who are older than ourselves, learn from people in different industries. That's the most cool thing, is that you just have no idea the kind of information and the kind of support, the emotional support that you'll get from just reaching out to somebody who you trust, who will be able to help guide you through this whole process, because it's a crazy world. I love this quote, and this is actually John Maxwell. I just finished reading a really brilliant book, and so you'll see a lot of John Maxwell quotes in here. It's actually called How Successful People Grow. It's a brilliant book. This is one of my favorite quotes. It's, leadership is not about titles, positions, or flowcharts. It's about one life influencing another. And that's what's really important about getting a mentor. I said mine was Francis. He gave me my shoe in the door. He supported me all the way through, and now he's one of my clients. He's just, these people stay in your life forever, and this is what's really important. It's about people helping people. Lesson 2 is get involved and get passionate. The one thing I kick myself over and over for is when I was in journalism school, all my friends were doing internships, and I had this stuck-up, snobby personality where I said, I'm not going to work for free. That just seems so ridiculous. Like, why on earth would I work for free? And I worked at a restaurant every single day, and my friends went on to work at CBC. They did internships at CBC, CTV. They worked their butts off, absolutely worked their butts off. Working in tech journalism, working in business journalism, all different kinds of fields. A lot of my colleagues today who are front-end developers got their way in that way as well. Designers got their way in by building portfolios, by working for free. All these other things, because what it is, it's about getting opportunity. It's about learning from other people and getting exposed and getting passionate. I love this quote. This is actually Mark Twain. I never let my schooling interfere with my education. Because basically you can learn everything, you cannot learn everything at all in a classroom. You have to get out into the world, you have to meet people, you have to get your hands dirty, and you have to learn from different experiences all the time. And the cool thing is the more you go out, you volunteer, you get opportunities as well. This is my favorite one. Crave exposure and feel exposed. I feel very exposed right now. I basically told myself that before I got up here today, I wasn't going to give you any BS. This is who I am, and this is what's important about growing as a professional and growing as a human being as well. Just crave exposure and feel exposed. Constantly challenge yourself. Go put yourself into situations where you just go, I don't know if I can do this. I have no idea what this is or how to do it. Throw yourself in there, fail, learn from your failure, get up and try it again. This is another one of my favorite ones. If we're growing, we're always going to be outside of our comfort zone. Embrace failure. Shopify, I know you guys all went to Shopify earlier on. This is basically in their mantra. Embrace failure, because you're going to fail. And you know what? It's one of the greatest learning experiences you can have. I fail all the time, and it's actually one of the greatest things that I can actually say has helped in my personal growth and professional growth, for that matter. As pretty much every single tech entrepreneur that I've ever read about always says, fail hard, fail fast. Basically fail, but do it quickly and move on and learn from your mistakes and try not to make the same failure twice. The greatest mistake we can make is living in constant fear that we won't get one. Lesson 5, and this is when I actually hire people all the time, where I was doing a lot of recruitment for social, and I also am doing recruitment as well for social demand. When I interview somebody over the phone, the person who focuses on solutions is the person that I hire. I swear, every single time. Focus on solutions and not problems. This is going to be the #1 thing that's going to help you get a job in this industry, beyond being extremely talented at what you do, of course. The pessimist complains about the wind. This is another John Maxwell quote. Sorry to bore you with all these, but I absolutely love his stuff. The optimist expects it to change. The leader changes the sails. Okay? So now, as I said, I promised that I wouldn't make this whole thing about myself. I'd very much like to get to know you, to get to basically for you to ask questions, anything at all about the industry, to give you a little bit of background, as I said, in terms of I won't pretend to know everything, but my specific areas of expertise are front-end development, back-end development, mobile application development, design, so user experience, interfaces, things like that. I also know online advertising very specifically, the digital space in general. So if you have any questions at all for me, I welcome them. Yes?
I may be so far behind in technology that it's ridiculous, but what is it that you do? I still don't.
Oh boy.
Yeah, well, this is how far back I go. But for me, I know what it means to have a store and
you sell items, but I don't know what you're selling. You talk the language, but for me, I don't understand.
I sincerely apologize for that.
No, but that's my age showing.
I have been trying, I mean this, every single day I try and find language that simplifies what it is that we do, because it is extraordinarily complex to people who don't know the terminology specifically. That's why I like to say, we're a user experience agency. That means nothing. Digital means nothing. Really, at the end of the day, we work in the online space, on the internet. So basically, we build websites, we build applications, we build, when you go to a website and a Google ad pops up, or an advertising pops up, or those creepy ads that follow you around the web, we can do that too. Oh yeah, that's me. Be afraid. I know all of your personal data. What's that?
Oh, except they're looking at your Google searches.
Yeah, exactly, yeah.
The person did it YouTube.
We can advertise on YouTube. What's the question?
So yes.
Yes. Yes. Does that simplify things?
I'll think about it.
We're an integrated team, and actually the really, really cool thing about this industry as well is it's collaborative, it's cross-departmental, it's collaborative. I work with developers who work with designers who make the things beautiful online, who build the things that then, you put the beautiful thing on front of it, and all of the rest. It's a really, really cool space to be in because of that. I am actually the average age at my company right now, 26. I think the oldest person that works with us right now is 45. Yeah, it's a very it's a young industry. It's a really, really cool industry to push yourself, because everybody's kind of in it together. We're all just kind of learning and growing and figuring it out, and we all have a very it's an industry for the hungry. Let's put it that way. Any other questions?
Yep.
Hi.
So you guys make apps and web pages. Do you make apps and web pages for yourself or for others? Kind of like Ingenious with a private contractor group.
Well, we do it for others primarily. So as an agency, we have multiple clients, and we build those products for those clients. I mean, in the business development capacity, I try and find new clients, and I try and make sure that I can find solutions to their problems. We try and also build things for ourselves. Have you ever heard of the term labs? I'm sure Shopify might have pitched that one to you. Yeah, maybe? Labs is basically our fun time. So in order for us to test new products and new ways of doing things, new software languages, new all kinds of different things, new ways of designing things, new ways of integrating with things, we build really cool products. Actually, a girl I interviewed not long ago and actually ended up going out for a beer with because she was just so cool. Natalie, she came out of an agency in Toronto called Met Labs. It's really, really awesome. I know. I told you it was the definition, guys. I told you. But it's a really awesome agency, and they have, and they actually call it Net Labs. And basically, they build amazing, amazing things that are totally outside of their industry. So this is a bunch of developers, and actually, this is a really cool story in terms of what this industry is all about. A couple of developers. They did a labs project where they made tacos and they sold pieces of art with the tacos. And the tacos were so successful, that they ended up opening up a restaurant. Now the two developers work for a restaurant. But anyway, I know it's strange, but this is what it means to actually work at an agency, because our clients work in the restaurant industry. They work in all kinds of different industries that we're not familiar with. So that's why these lab projects are so important, is they expose you to different things that you normally would never encounter. And that's also a cool thing about working in this space. Sorry, that was a ramble. Did I answer your question?
Yes.
Good.
You said you did advertisements.
Yes, we do those too.
Say a friend and I had a URL on which we set up a store. Could we use social demand as a substitute for Google Ads?
We use Google Ads. So that's how it works. Yeah, that's how it works. So Google, I hate to admit it, but it kind of owns our whole online experience at the moment. If you use Chrome, your whole experience is run by Google. So basically, demand uses Google AdWords and social media ads. So Twitter, Facebook, LinkedIn, all these other platforms out there that run ad programs. We leverage those programs and that technology, and we drive ads through it. Does that make sense? It's like a network.
Questions?
But I could certainly teach you how to use it for yourself. I'm serious.
Set up and explain, like, because they have to approve it.
Mm-hmm.
You're approved, but we approved it for almost 6 weeks now.
Ooh, you might be not following the rules. Are you trying to trick people?
You saw t-shirts.
Give me your name and your email address afterward, and I'll take a look at it. Okay? Hi.
Do you have like a brick and mortar building with rooms and people in them, or
Actual human beings.
like do you have do you subcontract overseas?
Oh, I
or
should
is it
probably
like,
mention
how
I'm a
much of that?
hologram right now. I'm not really here. I'm in China. Yeah, exactly. Yes, we are both. We have a brick and mortar building. It's in Wellington Village. We're right above supply and demand, so it smells really good. And we have people all over the world as well. So we contract out, but primarily speaking, we like to work with a team environment's extremely important because while it's technology, it is creative. So it's important that we have as much of the work done under our own roof as possible. But we do have people pounding pavement, as far as Calgary and, and in the States. We actually just opened up our Chicago office. So that's very exciting. But yes, runners all over the world, really. Global conqueror.
I think you may have indirectly answered my question when I heard you say to someone else, my husband rants every time he puts on the internet, that he can't, it never works on Google, but it always seems to work on Google Chrome, and amazing how these little ads start popping up.
Isn't it?
But
Amazing.
we've just booked a place in a hotel, and all of a sudden on Google Chrome it shows up.
Yep.
And but not Google. Google Chrome it does. So that is obviously linked.
Well, on the Google channel specifically, and I won't go into techie details, I promise. There's a difference. So, are you looking at the images? The images that are
He's
showing?
always complaining that his email never works on Google, but it always works miraculously on Google Chrome.
Huh, there you go.
Along with all the ads that accompany it.
Yeah, it's I think you know the answer there. There's no mystery. Yeah.
I'll tell him he's out of luck when I go home. I've been trying to tell him that, but I'll tell him I asked the questions of it.
Yeah, exactly. We built for Chrome first, I'll tell you that, and that's for a reason, right?
So just kind of random question. What's the difference between a front end and a back end developer?
Oh boy, I need Fred here. Basically, A back-end developer is the guy who builds the foundation for the website, right? So he's the guy that it's actually like phenomenal. We have some guys who are like, Ruby on Rails developers. Basically, these are the guys that like set the foundation for the site, all the systems integrations, how you're going to pull in from APIs, and how you're going to interact with that e-commerce system. So Shopify, for example, our back-end developers integrate with Shopify, right, in order to allow e-commerce across other websites as well. Front end are the guys who make it look real pretty. So a lot of front end, actually, I like to call them the unicorn. So if a lot of you guys are interested in front end development, me as a scout for talent, I like to call the unicorn is the developer, the front end developer, who also has an aesthetic eye, who knows design as well. Because the guy who can develop a site while also really, really understanding the aesthetics and what the designer's intentions are, oh my God, I'll gobble him up and pay him whatever he wants. That's exactly it, yeah. That's my biggest piece of advice for you guys going into front-end dev. No design if you can. Get into Photoshop.
Oh, okay, that's what we're doing.
Does that answer your question?
It's also, like, what is your day-to-day work day look like?
Oh God. My day-to-day work life is chaotic. Pretty much myself, I basically start my day finding new opportunities. I do a lot of speaking. I do a lot of client relations. I talk to a lot of clients. I talk to my team a lot, the development team, the design team as well, because they're the real knowledge keepers here. Like I told you, I'm a BSer up here. Like I don't know HTML5, but they're the real knowledge keepers. So I'll usually, if I find an opportunity, I will go then and talk to my team, and I'll say, okay, guys, how are we going to make this work? And what they do then is they do what's called a scope of work. So we look at a problem, and this is like the most exciting project that we could get. Is a client comes to us and they say, okay, I really have this problem that I need to fix. And what we'll do is, as a cross-collaborative team, we'll all sit down together, developers, designers, strategists, the person who does like the information architecture and the analytics and all that other stuff. We'll all sit down together and we'll go, okay, how are we going to fix this thing? We go in front of a big whiteboard and we have all these fancy colored pens and we go, and we come up with a really awesome user story, we come up with a user flow, and then we present it to the client and we say, what do you think? And then we work back and forth and then we build a really awesome product. That could be actually all done in one day. Yeah, not always, because sometimes things are really, really complicated. Some website builds that we do span as long as a year. We're building right now a custom web application for a higher education institution, actually, and it has been, 9 months now, and we are only just getting into phase 2. So some things are really, really complex and they take a lot of time. But the really cool thing, as I said, about this industry is you get to work with all kinds of people and you get to learn all kinds of things. You're not pigeonholed into one little thing and doing that forever. I can say that, just in the few years that I've been working in an agency specifically, it's like boot camp for tech. I mean, it really is. You're going to be exposed to all kinds of different things. You have to learn things quickly. And I think actually that's why I made this presentation as it is, because the most valuable quality that I can find in someone is someone who has a hunger to grow and to learn every single day. That's going to set you up for being an absolute master at what you do. And you're going to find also, it's kind of like, I like to think of social as my own personal sandbox. I go in there and I build things and I go, woohoo! And then I crush things and I go, nope! And that's pretty much it. And that's what's super, super fun about it. Yeah. Cool?
Thank you.
I was just going to expand on that question. Oh, sorry.
Expand the microphone, please.
Sorry. Do I need the microphone? He was asking you what your sort of work day looked like, and you gave a scenario.
Yeah.
So as far as your working week, how much of your work hours are spent in your bricks and mortar building? How many of your hours are spent at home working from home office on your own? how many hours per week would you say you're working? You already have said you have a bit of an issue with time-work balance, but so what would you say is your normal hours a week? I mean, have these guys got to expect that they're working 7 days a week, 10 hours a day?
No, we're not don't think people are workhorses. And I think that the most important thing that a lot of agencies that succeed understand is that there really is only so many hours a human being can put in before they start making mistakes. That's actually true, right? We're all people at the end of the day, right? And the longer we sit in front of a computer screen, we start doing this, and that's how you break something, right? So, but the cool thing is about the tech industry is I think that a lot of people are starting to realize that they can't just drive people into the ground and then hire new people. It happened, guys, it happened for a while where a lot of developers were abused, like actually abused, and I'll be the first one to attest to that. You know, I actually know of a few agencies that, you know, will remain nameless, of course, but you know, they had the mentality that that they would hire, work, the person would quit or, you know, get sick, you know, whatever. And they say, okay, you know what, we'll hire somebody else, no problem, and it happens. It happens a lot in Toronto, actually, because it's very, very competitive. However, I think that the agencies that succeed and who realize that, that you know, people are people, and we all just want to work on really cool projects, at the end of the day, they realize that they do a work-life balance. And actually, Google was the first one to really kind of, you know, drive that home. I can work from wherever I want. I was working, as I said, I worked on vacation. I did, but at least I was on a beach, and they didn't, you know, they allowed me to do that. I work from coffee shops. I work from home when I want to. You know, I go to the office when I need to. That's it. You know, I think that an agency that really understands, you know, a great approach to creating great work. Understands that that you have to, you know, treat humans like humans and be flexible. So as I said, back to it's a rambly way of saying that, I work, you know, anywhere between 45 and 50 hours a week. So it's not like, you know, I'm not dying. I'm fine. You know, sometimes I work weekends, sometimes I work evenings, sometimes my boss will call me at 10:30 at night and be like, oh my gosh, you know. But that's the nature of the beast, and if you care about the stuff that you're building, right, like it's your baby, you really care about it, then that's not a problem, and you're rewarded duly for it, right? That's it. But yeah, it's flexible work-life balance, at least attempted in the office, out of the office.
Question here.
Do you find it hard to bring in different personality types? Like, you know, you want to be creative, but you also need people who are people and systems people and all kinds of things. So do you try and look for other kind of personalities to round out your team?
Absolutely, and that's a really, really great question. Diversity in a team is probably the most valuable thing that you could ever ask for. Everybody sees things, and we're actually not a huge team. We're 24 people right now, and that's it. I mean, so you really get to know people. We're throwing a big Halloween party tomorrow, and we're all going to be there, and we're all going to get dressed up in costumes. And it's important to have a team mentality, absolutely. So we hire for specific characteristics. You know, basically growth. You know, willingness to grow, kindness towards others, ability to communicate. You know, really high-level integral qualities is what we'll hire for, and of course, the skill and ability. But the people who bring a diverse perspective are absolutely sought after. Absolutely. Did that yeah. I think that it's kind of par for the course though when you work at an agency, because I mean we have developers and I mean a lot of people who work in tech. I'm one of only 4 women at my company, so you know it's always kind of like a different situation. It's hard to describe. You're always, with developers and designers, they are sort of inherently sort of different characters, I guess you could say. They are. I mean, a lot of our design team is, you know, very colorful and, you know, very, it's interesting. Yeah. Yeah. It's not always the case. It's certainly not always the case. But yeah, you know, it's a big mix. It's a big mix.
So here's a hiring question for you, because I've hired quite a few people, and I've moved away from behavioral interviews. That used to be the thing to do. But anybody can train for a behavioral interview in the same way they can train for any other interview. So what sorts of questions do you ask people that these guys might need to know about?
That's a good question. That's a good question. I really like to, so granted, I will actually preface by saying that I usually handle the phase 1 interview. We usually do 2 phases. So I usually hire for, I ask big broad questions, and then we'll get into the specific hardcore technical questions when I bring in the area expertise that we're hiring for. So the senior director of development will come in for dev, et cetera, et cetera. But the kinds of questions that I ask are really meant to launch conversations, and so I can really understand why somebody really wants to work with us. That's ultimately, at the end of the day, what are they going to bring to our team that really sets them apart from everybody else? Why do they really, really want to work here? Because there are a number of agencies that they could work at. Why do they want to work here specifically? What does user experience mean to you? Because there's a variety of terms, a variety of different descriptions, and I love to hear the colorful answers that people give to describe what user experience means to them. What makes a good manager and a bad manager? That's a good one as well that I ask. So it gives me an indication of whether they like to be directed or whether they like to work alone, which both are acceptable. Just to we look at how they answer those questions. What do you want to be when you grow up?
That's actually a good question. I ask that a lot.
What do you want to be when you grow up?
expecting that question.
yeah, because we're all still, we're all kids still, really.
When I know, I'll tell you. My husband asks me that every week. What am I going to be when I grow up?
That's it. Yeah, and and I say, is it with us or is it with someone else? And how can we help you get there? That's important as well, because it's not just. I think that the industry has shifted a little bit in technology, where it's not so much anymore the employee clamoring for a job. We're actually a lot of the time trying to woo new talent. So it's not just a one-way street anymore. It has to be a good fit. So I ask a lot of, I open the floor as well to them, and I think that that's probably where the most valuable area comes from is, guys, if an employer asks you if you have any questions, ask questions, please. If you sit there and say, I don't know, I don't have any questions, then I go, oh, okay, well, all right, fair enough. And you don't have that opportunity to add that added value that, you get to drive the conversation at that point. Does that answer your question? I asked numerous more, but those are usually my launch pads.
Anyone else?
Anything else about front-end dev, back-end dev, design, anything else? Anything else like that? Advertising, which is really where I
have a question.
Yeah.
You were in journalism when you came up that way.
Yeah.
A lot of friends in journalism. Now, print journalism is like dying, and TV journalism is struggling, and they don't seem to be able to make any money on the internet. Now, what are your thoughts about that? What they might do to get a model that will make them some money?
I think, okay, gosh, this is getting into opinion. My mentor, Francis, was a journalist for about 30 years before he moved into the marketing side of things. And he used to say that journalism is nothing but the stuff that keeps the ads from bumping together. I know, it's pretty sad, isn't it? It's very sad. Yeah, it's really sad. I think that what the journalism industry can do for itself, especially the print journalism industry, is to focus on what it does best. And that is not trying to be like online, they can't be fast. What they specialize in is why the New York Times is still successful, why the Wall Street Journal is still successful, why the Washington Post is still successful, is because they focus on investigative journalism. They focus on real, meaty pieces with legs that all the online guys just want to fester off of. That's what's going to save the industry. And if it comes down to specializing and focusing in a specific marketplace, for example, I know that a lot of journalists are now being hired out of industry, right? So lots of tech entrepreneurs are now journalists writing for tech magazines, right? So if it means actually finding those real subject matter experts and putting them front and center and focusing, I think and actually people will pay for that at that point, I think. I know for a fact that, my boyfriend has been a subscriber to Rob Report for, numerous years for exactly that reason. Lots of really good articles in there and it's a focus. Yeah, but actually one of the saddest things and what really turned me off of journalism And it really was sad because, you know, when you invest 4 years of your life into something that you really feel passionate about and everything, and you kind of, you know, your bubble got burst, is all these online outlets, guys. Huffington Post, not Mashable, Mashable's okay, but Huffington Post, BuzzFeed, all of Yahoo, all these other outlets are what are known as content farms, okay? So what they do is they pay their staff a very, very minimal wage, and they are paid based on how many articles they can pump out a day. There's no quality there, guys, it's popcorn. They have amazing, this is actually the area that I come in, amazing understanding of their reader through analytics and through social media, and they basically feed you what you want, and that's why they're successful. So, content farms, yeah, that's exactly it. So, I went on a rant.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And I'd like to call on Sarah Islam to say thank you.
Well, Ms. Reed, on behalf of all the students here, I'd like to say thank you for the wonderful presentation that you gave us. To hear about someone's failures as well as their successes really helps to, well, as well as how we can apply our passions in technology towards our growing ourselves as people, and our careers really drives us and motivates us to continue with our education. So once again, thank you very much. We appreciate it.
We do have a couple of things here for you.
Oh, wow.
First of all, our famous Adventure in High Tech t-shirt.
Thank you.
And secondly, normally at our normal meetings, the way we say thank you to our guest speakers is we ask them to sign a book. And then we put this book into the Michelle Heights Library. Michelle Heights is an Ottawa community housing area in the west end of Ottawa. And we built a library there, and we continue to populate the library each week. So we will ask you to sign this, and you will be immortalized in the Michelle Heights Community Library.
That's great. Thank you.
Oh, we have lots of holiday specials here.
Thank you.
Where shall I sign? Right here?
And thank you, Sarah. Okay, a few final items. First of all, have all of you handed in your return transportation slips?
Yes.
Yes? Okay, I'll ask it the other way around. Is there anybody who hasn't handed in their return? Oh. John, remember these faces? There's 1, 2, 3, 4 of them. Okay. Please hand in the form to John. Otherwise, I hope you really like Ottawa. You're going to be here for a while. We would like you to be at the bus at 8:45 tomorrow morning with your luggage. We will hand out a survey tomorrow when you get on the bus. We really would, you know, it'd be so wonderful for you to fill it out. We usually get very close to 100% return on these surveys. And we use it to look at how the program went this year and how we can improve it for next year. So please fill out the survey and let us know what you like, let us know what you didn't like. Next thing, when you do go home, we would really like you to go to your Rotary Club and just give them a 5-minute talk about the adventure, about the, you know, what it means to you. You see, you guys are our best advertising, right? So we would really like you to go and say what the adventure meant to you, to the Rotary Club that sent you here. And just sort of a final thought. I like talking to the students who come here on these adventures, and I remember talking to one student, and he said, you know, I had no idea what I wanted to do when I came here, and now I know exactly what I want to do. And I thought, hey, that's really great. And same day I was talking to another student, he said, you know, I knew exactly what I wanted to do when I came here, and now I have no idea. And I think that both of those are really cool, because it gets you, you know, it means that you've been thinking about what you want to do and the value that you get out of the program. And I hope that we can, you know, about 50% of you now don't know what you want to do, and 50% of you do. That would be great. So with that thought, I will turn the meeting over to, back over to President John. And John?